Hi everyone, I'm Danielle Keasling. I am here with Modern Salon Magazine at a shoot for Great Lengths USA, and we are demoing how to color creatively in my hot tips and tricks for how to conquer situations with hair extensions, and we're using today the Great Lengths GL apps. So, talking about creative color. Every time you want to color an extension, I always recommend coloring down. And what I mean about that is if I'm doing a technique that I need a pre-lightened base, as you can see here, I needed a pre-lightened base for these fashion tones. So I actually started with a hair extension, light blonde, and then we went in and blocked with our demi-permanent color where we wanted these lines to start. That way, I had these areas of pre-lightened hair already set for the color melting patterns that I'm doing. So that's just a hot tip. Instead of lightening these panels out, avoid doing that because it's going to hurt the integrity of the hair. Just deposit down. So now we're going to come over here and I'm going to show you a little trick about saturation. So if I want to dilute any tones or I don't want them to take as intense on a strand, I will actually go in and I'll put a clear tone on my extension first. So this is going to actually dilute the tone that I'm working with, and I'm going to show you back to back how that is going to visually be different. So I've got my diluted strand with clear and I've got my dry strand. They both are starting from the same place, same color. I'm going to go in and start with my lightest color first because I'm going to be melting this, and if I'm starting with my darkest color first, I'm going to cross the colors into one another faster. So I want to start with my lightest color first. I'm going to start on my clear strand, and because that clear is already on there, you can see how light that is actually taking. So I'll just randomly work in the areas that I want to lay this pastel pink in first. So this is all about being creative, being an artist, and thinking outside the box, thinking outside those lines. So I'm going to take the same pink formula, and now I'm going to show you what that looks like on dry. So you can see how fluid and light that transition is just because I painted on clear over the top of the clear before I painted over the pastel, and how I'm getting a little bit more impact here because this is dry hair. Another thing, when you're applying, you want to make sure that you're spreading that hair apart. A lot of the times when we're coloring extensions, we tend to follow the width of the tape when we're laying them, and if you get in there and kind of spread that hair apart, you're going to find that you're going to get much more thorough saturation. Especially on the dry hair. On this swatch, I used the clear prior. So when I applied the clear, I really spread the clear back and forth. So I already have that saturation covered, but on the dry hair, you want to make sure that you're opening that up because of the density of the hair. And you can see as I'm opening that up, there's little areas in there that are still blonde. So that's showing me that I need more product or more saturation. So now I'm going to move to my next lightest color, which is going to be an indigo tone. And again, the reason I'm applying from lightest to darkest is so I don't bleed those colors into each other, the dark into the light. So on, again, dry hair, you want to pull that apart. And on the clear, you can see if I move that color off, how that's very pastel. So I've diluted that direct tone. So just continuing with the application. And you can see I'm being very creative. It's more about, you know, these are all individual pieces that are going to create a big picture. So I know that I want a lot of fluid, melted motion, so I'm being very not so blocky in this. Now, I'm up at the tape, and a lot of concerns are how do I avoid that tape? You want to make sure that you're applying that color below the tape. And another little trick is if you, instead of dipping your brush in the bowl, if you do what we call loading the brush. So I'm actually picking up from the one side, and you can see I don't have as much product on the other side. So I'm loading my brush. It's going to create a nice strong line, and I'm going below, again, where I want to be. And then I can work very gently and methodically up to that line. So I'm avoiding getting that full saturation. As that sits for a little bit, it's gonna creep up right up to that tape, so I don't have to worry about it. Side brushing too creates a nice diffused application. And then I have fun little tools, like my sponge. And this is just a basic makeup sponge. So by using a makeup sponge, you can also go in and blend these tones together. And I think too, when you're working with your clients, you know, they're very interested in the tools that you're using and how you're setting yourself apart. And they're also interested in who you are as a hairdresser and the things that you're going to learn and you're going to these education forums for. And so sharing, oh, you know, I'm actually applying, you know, your color today using this technique, and then I'm going to use a makeup brush. So it's something innovative and new that you might not have seen before. So last but not least, after we've done our application, some of the questions I get are about rinsing. So to make sure that we're properly rinsing these extensions, remember, this isn't a guest, so we don't have to worry about the temperature of the water. So when I'm using fashion shades, I want to make sure that when I'm rinsing these tones, see, they're dramatic. I'm going from blue to pinks, right? So I want to rinse in ice cold water, as cold as my hands can stand it. And rinse, rinse, rinse. As soon as you rinse them, do a very light shampoo. Emulsify that really quickly because the suds are going to pick up that pigment, and that's what transfers onto those lighter tones. So rinse, ice cold, shampoo lightly, rinse again as fast as you can, and then you can go in and shampoo that hair to remove the pigment. So that is a really great tip, and all these tips I hope help you with creating creative colored extensions. So thank you so much, and hopefully I will see you guys soon.